Bumblebee came out a few months ago, and I thought it sort of made me want to go back and rewatch the Transformers movies, because I think I was a bit too harsh on them when I first saw them. And the first one is a movie I watched last night, and I've always think the first one is okay. I was wrong. I was very wrong. Transformers came out in 2007, made a lot of people excited to see a live-action Transformers movie. I love all the 80s Transformers stuff. It's amazing. And I also really love Bumblebee. But I'm going to push that aside for now because they learned from their mistakes after 6 movies in with that movie. And I'm going to talk about this movie alone, the first Transformers movie. To be honest, I've always enjoyed this movie. I've always think, to be honest, out of all the Transformers movies, this is the one that sort of has the most coherent story. It's the best made sort of thing, but it's still not good. But in terms of Transformers live action stuff, it's sort of the best thing you can have. And I still agree with that statement, but I hate this movie. I really hate this movie. When we were watching it today, I found so many flaws. And as a kid, I'm always like, yeah, the Transformers, this is fun. But, I'm so glad I rewatched this last night. Not because I got any entertainment out of it, because I didn't. But because I just... I laughed so much. This movie is such an hilariosity. It's so bad that it's hilarious. It's an absolute atrocity of a movie. But it's hilarious. And a lot of people do like the first Transformers. And I can see if you do, out of all the live-action Transformers movies, it's easily the best. But it doesn't mean it's any good. It really doesn't. Yeah, Transformers. I'm going to get into some of my big issues with this movie. I'm going to get a bit in depth. If you've never seen this movie, I don't think you're going to care anyway. But spoilers, I guess. Let's start off. Performances. The one thing they could have got right. Did they get that right? Nope. Sam Witwicky, man, he is one of the most unlikable protagonists ever. He's the only character in this entire movie that gets the slightest of character development, and that's still an inch of character development. Towards the start of the movie, they set up some good characters with the people on the plane in the war, but then they don't show them until the third act. All the other performances are awful, really bad. Besides one performance, which I'll get into my positives, I'm just going to push all the negatives in the first, and then I'll go through the positives at the end. But yeah, performances are quite bad in here, especially from the human characters. And of course, the worst thing about this movie is the pacing. This movie doesn't have one coherent moment where you're like, okay, I'm getting into it now. Yes, finally. There's so much setup. There's an hour of setup in this movie, and we only meet the Transformers 1 hour in. Besides Bumblebee, which again we only meet about an hour in, and we don't even learn the plot to the movie. But again, for an hour in, so we've got half of this movie is just awful setup, awful, and it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Some of the dialogue that comes out of these people's mouths is hilarious. I have to show you the FBI scene. I have to show you.
Shut up, Grandma! Drink your prune juice!
What? Who thinks of that dialogue for this movie? Who wrote down that in the script? Yeah, Transformers, man, what a mess. What a mess of a movie. The plot is insane. This movie makes no complete sense. It has coherent things in it, but having these glasses that have the imprint of Megatron's plan on them and stuff, that's ridiculous, man. That is really bad. Also, again, the pacing is really bad. This movie is just so set-up heavy, and the pacing is awful. The third act comes around, and you don't even notice it. It's so weakly done. It is really badly paced, and it's so boring as well. All the military things are bore out of your mind. They are hilarious because they're so over the top, and they're trying to be so serious about this, but it just doesn't work. Also, the attempts at humor and jokes are an absolute hilariosity. They are atrociously bad. Oh my god, some of the jokes are just so awkward in this movie. I bursted out laughing. There are so many moments where I have to pause the movie and just do this for about 30 seconds and just witness what I just saw. And honestly, the thing that frustrates me so much about all these Transformers, and not just this one in particular, is that this one had some good things in there. I'll get into those later on. But the bad things, they knew what was bad. All the military stuff, all the cheesy dialogue and jokes, and all the big setup and the length and the pacing and everything. Why didn't they fix that? They kept that the same. That's been my biggest issue with every single Transformers movie, all the way up to The Last Knight. All of them have the same issues. Also, the characters are really bland, as I said. Sam Witwicky, the main protagonist, is the only one with an inch of development. That's not even much at all. The villain of Megatron, I think, is awful. He's in the movie for like 5 minutes, and all he says are the words, "I am Megatron." Oh, it's ridiculous. And then Sam Witwicky sticks the cube in his chest and he dies. And then he comes back in the third one. It's really bad. The third act of this movie, the big city thing, this is the thing that should have uplifted the film. This should have been the moment that's like, yes, this is actually good. We're getting into it now. The action scenes in the movie before that were okay. There were some good car chase scenes, there were some good action scenes. The CGI, the production, design, everything like that is really good. Seeing all the explosions, the special effects in this movie are really well done. But the direction is not very good. How they cut the action together is so choppy, it's so messy, you cannot tell what's going on. It's really bad stuff. Also, Optimus Prime in the film and all the other Transformers, all the main Transformers, besides Bumblebee, get no development either. You know nothing about these characters. Optimus Prime, I think the voice acting for him is amazing. I love his voice in these movies. It's perfection. And I love some of the monologues he says. I know he's saying them to the audience, and it's quite exposition heavy, but I quite like them, to be honest. There's just so many funny things in this movie that really make no sense and just hilarious and mind-boggling to me why they actually got made. The direction, as I said, is... I think it's Michael Bay's fault why these Transformers films are so bad, and he has made good movies. And the first Transformers has some good direction in there. It's a good looking movie, as I said, but the way they edit everything together and the way the whole story paces out isn't that great. Again, the first act is all set up for these characters. Bumblebee, he's really cool when he's the car and everything, and I like actually the setup with Bumblebee, but as soon as he turns into this robot, Sam has no surprise on his face or anything. He's just like, oh, my car's a robot. I think you'd be pretty shocked if your car turned into a robot. He just turns into a robot and he runs away, like, instantly. And he never has this moment like, oh my god, my car is an alien bloody robot. This is insane. He never has that moment. I'm like, what? There's no revitalization about what happens. He just accepts what happens. That's really weak storytelling. Again, the pacing is really bad. I cannot fantasize how much badly paced this movie is. There's so many things they could have cut out, taken out. This movie is so long, so dragged out. There's so many stupid elements that are just awful to experience. And I honestly don't know how I thought this movie was good before. I really don't understand. And to be honest, I'm going to tell you my grade of what I used to give the movie. I used to give the movie around a 6 out of 10 and around a B-. Hey, they even mention B- in this film, so B- sort of is the correct grade for this movie. But it's not. I'm going to give Transformers a lot lower than a B- because it is really bad. I'm going to give Transformers a D-. Oh my goodness. In terms of enjoyability rating, because this movie is very hilariosity vibe, I can't really give it a rating out of 10 because of its craptasticness. But if someone held a gun to my head and said rate out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 4. I don't know. There's my review for Transformers. Comment your opinions down below, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.